Hi, I'm Jaya,
And I'm Venk.
and this is the Reality Hate.
Episode 33.
What?
Episode 33 of Reality Hate F. And in that time, we have now scored a little radio show called Sorry Not Sorry on Ruckus Avenue Radio.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, a win. Also, you like us, you love us, you should. We're going to be everywhere. I think I burped a little. Everywhere. So please like this episode.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our channel. Like smash that subscribe button, and also ding the notification button so you can be notified of when we return with another episode.
Yes.
We have a little bit of news. Erica Jane,
my goodness gracious.
Jane is trying to sell her clothes. That's not happening. Erica Jane missed her
$25 million deadline.
That's fine.
25 million.
25 million. 25 million. She is more and more coming into the light. In like a bad
and way. Then her husband, ex-husband to be, maybe sold her out.
He was like, I think she knew. First of all, I love his acting skills. I would give him an Emmy, a Tony, an Academy Award for playing most disheveled. I'm sorry. I am not buying it.
I'm not buying it for 1 minute, especially after this week's episode where, I mean, the timeline, the discussions, the flashbacks don't make any sense.
No.
He's fine. He's mentally sound. Maybe after going through all this trauma, he's not, but it was not before. It was not before this happened.
He's not giving what he's supposed to give, performance-wise.
Right.
You get a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. But speaking of Beverly Hills, that's where I'm supposed to be living it. Why don't we get into Beverly Hills?
Let's do it. Let's recap Beverly Hills. So we open on Kyle and Crystal. They're getting ready for the girls' trip that Kathy planned down to Del Mar. I think everyone is collectively nervous about Sutton and Erica, and they should be because it doesn't go well. It wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I'm more excited about next week when Erica says she has $0.
Wearing Chanel, so was she wearing Chanel sunglasses?
And she had a glam squad, she had a glam squad there, but she has $0. I mean, she was spotted at the TJ Maxx, but
when I was in my poverty days, I would always make sure to give at least $500 to hair and makeup daily.
Yeah.
And I would always, have the access to the lifestyle. I live in my condominium in Hancock Park.
Yeah. Condominium. She lives in a bungalow in Hancock Park.
Bungalow.
Yeah.
Bungalow high.
And then they jump to Kathy packing, which kills me. And Dorit, of course, is going in on Garcelle. She's so bothered by Garcelle. And you could see Kathy just not paying attention. Kathy's just yeah, I'm getting on my what? Yeah, I gotta go.
And I loved it so much that it definitely had to have place on our TikTok, which you should follow at Reality Hate F.
Yes, follow us.
Plug.
So then they all meet at Kyle's because they're gonna caravan down to Del Mar, and Kathy realizes that her purse was not put in the car. And so Kyle needs to call the lady. And
the lady.
I couldn't even get mad at this. I could not even, because she's so funny. And she was like, call the lady. And Kyle's like, what's the lady's name? And she's like, the lady that works in my house. And then they have to meet at Sunset in the 405. And the lady is going to Kyle's car and she's going, right here, right here, and like the entire time the captions are like, the lady. Where is she? The lady.
The best. I hope Kathy knows she's a legend.
You can't even get mad at that. Like, it's just
I just
so light, and she's so jovial,
I mean, you know why I love Kathy Hilton.
I know. Yeah.
I knew she was nice when she saw me being escorted out.
Yes.
Kicked out.
She was sweet to you.
Yeah. Was sweet to me.
Yes. So anyway, we know Vank. We know you met Kathy Hilton.
I didn't meet her. I said, I love you. She said she loved me.
Well, anywho. Any more?
No, that's it.
No, I'm just kidding. It's like that Instagram story I sent you from #booked. And it's like, when an actor can't stop talking about that one episode they guest starred on. And like, hey, did you know that I guest starred on Blue's Clues? Oh, wow. This magazine begins with B. That reminds me of Blue's Clues. Did you know I guest starred on it?
That's
so on point.
So people have been, the worst is when people like just genuinely like, yeah, we've heard that story before. And I'm like, I'm running out of stories.
But it's a good one. It's like my good story.
Can you pretend like you forgot?
Right? Let me tell it again. Give me my moment. So anyway, Erica gets there quickly, right? When they're getting ready to caravan. She brought her dog and she's like, I'm going to go down and like get settled in to like avoid, right?
Right.
So she gets down there. And Sutton's got a bad ankle. She's got a badly sprained ankle. Listen, I have a badly sprained ankle and I was up walking all over it.
I mean, Sutton is 55 years older.
That's true. She's like 300 years older. It's crazy. It's so crazy. She gets down to Del Mar and has to go to the ER, where then she ends up in a wheelchair. So she's like immobile for the entire trip. They like can't do anything.
That's my dream trip.
So anywho, we get to the hotel. It's beautiful. And as Kyle said, when I travel with my sister, I will undoubtedly stay in the best hotel, in the best room in the hotel. Sure enough, most beautiful. I had wondered if the Hiltons owned it, but they don't. I looked it up.
Oh,
they don't. Maybe they're partners in it, but they don't own it.
I'm pretty
sure. She's a Hilton, so it doesn't matter,
They have the connections.
Right, exactly. It's the hotel business. So they have like this pop-up picnic. That's lovely. It's beautiful by the seals. I've been to that beach with all the seals. I would never want to picnic near it, so I'm not sure where they did it, but I mean, because the seals are everywhere.
I think I know that. Yeah.
So they sort of are all sitting there and Kathy brings up, like, how are you feeling like with Sutton and what have you? And Erica's like, listen, I'm not a liar. I won't be called a liar. I'm done with her. I find it offensive. And at the moment, Kyle is playing both sides of the fence. So Kyle is saying, yes, Sutton did call you a liar. And yes, this and that and the other. But then a week before that, there was a dinner and you and Dorit and husbands were also calling, in so many words, calling Erica a liar. So you're just, I thought we'll get to it, but Garcelle, when she stuck up for Sutton, hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So then the head injury thing comes up and someone says something about the head injury and they're like, okay, so like he had a head injury. That story's confusing. And she's like, yeah, allegedly. And everyone's like, allegedly? You said that he had a head injury. And she's like, yeah, he had a, traumatic, he had a TBI, and everyone's like, what's a TBI? And she's like, a traumatic brain injury. And so when they wanted to operate on his ankle, no one can be put under anesthesia when they've had a traumatic brain injury. And again, it's like, what?
I have a BSD, bullshit detector. And so the thing that I find hilarious about it is in the interviews when Kyle is like, well,
against Erica. She's like, what?
But in her interview, in her personal, she's like, well, people have been around lawyers a lot, and so they use legal lingo. Yes. And I'm like, girl, get out of here.
Exactly. And so she was like, and I was telling everybody that he's not of right mind, and the doctors were blowing me off. No, the doctors weren't blowing you off. This is BS.
She's actually
also bullshit.
I actually think she's not as smart as I gave her credit.
No, and she doesn't care if Sutton feels threatened, and she wants her to feel threatened. She's just so angry, right? So then Garcelle arrives at the hotel. She's hilarious. She comes upon Sutton, who, is out of commission. And Sutton, she's like, do you think you're going to try and make everything okay with Erica? And Sutton's like, I don't really want to. I'm afraid. She said she closed the door. Should I knock on it? Because I don't really feel like I should knock on the door. And Garcelle's like, one of the voices of reason, and is like, yeah, don't knock on that door. Let her be. Let her be.
Knock on my door. No.
And then we see everybody getting ready. We see Erica with no money, having a glam squad, looking her like mod best.
Just as one person, I mean,
she is really slumming it. And then Kathy and Kyle are like, everybody goes down to the dinner. Kathy and Kyle, not ready for the dinner. Dinner's at 8. Everybody's already arrived like a half hour late. Nobody shows up at the dinner on time. Kathy and Kyle come down an hour later. And I loved Kathy's response. Kyle was like panicking and freaking out. And Kathy's like, oh, they're calling. What do I do? What do I do? And Kathy's like, well, is she the boss of you? Does she own you? I mean, don't worry about it. Who cares? They're having a drink.
There's drinks and stuff down. There's food. There's
she's like, she's not your boss. So we took an hour. Let them do them. I loved it.
Kathy Hilton has like actual amazing boss energy.
Yeah. I mean, like, she just doesn't give a fuck. And like,
at the end of the day, I believe like,
she's a step above. Like she just,
but I believe she also kind of knows what's actually important. That's why she's successful at her happiness. Like, I don't know all her beliefs. I might disagree with, like, I just have a feeling like the reason why she doesn't give a F about certain things is because she puts it in the place it deserves to be in.
Exactly.
Which is something we all should
do. Of us, including me. I'm telling myself this right now.
Let's reinforce these things about people into our souls.
So then everyone gets down to dinner. They're all sitting there. They're kind of like going around. And then one by one, everyone goes around and kind of says how they feel. And like everyone, people feel great. People feel relaxed. People feel this. And Erica says she feels anxious and worried. And Kathy says she feels anxious as well. And she says, the reason I feel so anxious is that we're having this dinner, we're having this vacation, and there are lingering issues. And I can feel them and I don't like it. And she doesn't like her dinners to be like that. She doesn't like arguing at the table. She wants to enjoy it. And so then of course, Lisa sort of intervenes, everyone sort of intervenes, and it comes up, right? The Sutton Erica issue. And Erica basically says, like, don't call me a liar, Sutton. I have nothing to say to you because you've called me a liar and I'm not a liar. And she starts to become angry and vile, and it's really it's just not productive.
It's trifling.
And then Dorit feels the need to chime in with her blah, 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 blah about Erica. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And then she shifts the conversation and tries to make it about her and Garcelle.
I don't, because Dorit's so desperate. I mean, look at it. She's trying to launch the woman and the pearl.
The pearl. Oh, the moment.
The moment.
So anywho, then you know, like, I guess Erica feels like lines are being crossed. Lines are not being crossed. You have a major thing going on that involves lots of money and really bad situations, and people are nervous. And
right?
Sorry, people are asking questions, but they're going to. We're not going to pretend like it's not happening. You know?
Sidebar. Do you know like how they did the Hustler and the Housewife? Hulu or Netflix, or they're trying to do the Jen Shah version.
The Jen Shah story, yes.
Yeah, I had to just put that in there.
And then Garcelle sort of steps in for for Sutton at one point and is like, wait a second. You have basically made Sutton the sacrificial lamb.
Right.
You told her, own it, be honest, say all this, say this, and she's doing that. And it's still not enough because you all want the answers, but you don't want to ask the questions yourself. And so you're making her ask the questions that you want and then blaming her for not getting the answers you want, essentially. And everyone's like, I didn't know. No, you know, and it's like, but yeah. And then, you know, Dorit goes on about Garcelle and everyone's like, wait, Dorit, wait, what? Like, I thought we worked through this and everything was fine. And of course, then Lisa feels the need to chime in and she's like, listen, Garcelle, if you want to feel like you fit in, then you need to make an effort. You need to, you know, own it and make yourself feel included. And Garcelle's like, wait a second, I'm not going to make this racist. I'm not going to make this, but here's how I feel and here's why. And I'm also the only Black woman in this group that comes in, and I've been dealing with that my entire life. And so have you ever stopped for one moment to think how I feel?
You know what's so interesting about that moment? Because it was such a shift. Like, Garcelle was speaking her truth.
Yes.
All these women who like thought they were gonna like whatever, especially Lisa Rinna. Lisa Rinna was like, uh-oh. I don't think
she didn't know what to do.
I don't think Lisa Rinna didn't like, you know, you saw her like, oh, I'm so like, because I don't believe she understood the implications of the racial aspect of feeling like the only person or anybody who's in a marginalized group. But Lisa does understand when somebody brings up something that's a touchy subject and she's an actor and she needs to, like, I still think she's fake as shit.
She is. And the fact that they even forced Garcelle to go there. Like, that bothered me. I mean, I loved Kathy's response of like, have you ever felt like you were the only person in the room and you felt different? And I loved Kathy's like, I have. And she's like, well, imagine if that were all the time. But I loved that she said that. She was saying, yeah, it's not a good feeling. You know, all the other women were just like, I thought it, but I would never say it. You know, like, but like they loved, the part that bothered me was that the women loved, they were like, you're vulnerable. You're finally being vulnerable. That is bullshit. You made her go there. You made her cry to make yourselves feel better. Like,
it was all bullshit. The only person that gave a truthful, honest, like Kathy was trying to learn, trying to listen. She's like, oh, I have felt like that. And then Garcelle, very amazing. Like, I thought it was so smart. I wouldn't have been able to say that in that moment. But how does it make, but what if you felt like that every single day?
Right.
Where then Kathy's like, oh, and I believe that Kathy took that in.
Kathy took it in and she was responding like a genuine, yes, I know that feeling. And that's okay to say that. Everybody's had that feeling. But when you're a minority feeling that way every day.
I also believe that Sutton would understand. I like as much as Sutton.
I think Sutton does, but I think Sutton knew this is Garcelle's moment. We've discussed this before.
Yeah.
And you pushed her here, which I thought was so crappy of Lisa and of Dorit, you know? And then the women have a sound bath. I love a good sound bath. I am a sound bath person.
I'm more like Kathy Hilton when it comes to.
She loves sound baths. She just fell asleep. It was amazing.
Oh, no, wait. No, I'm more like Lisa Rinna.
Lisa Rinna. I love sound baths. Then we see the end of it is basically Tom is being put, his brother asked for conservatorship, and now they're asking to put him in a mental facility. And Erica's upset because she feels like he doesn't need to be in one because he doesn't. And she's ready to have a nervous breakdown. And she knew at the dinner the night before that this story was coming out, and she was upset. And she doesn't agree. He should have a caretaker, and she still loves him, even though they're divorced. And, you know, where is his family? Why aren't they helping? And yada, 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 blah. It's over. It gets better next week when she says she has $0. Can't wait for it.
Yes. With the probably $25,000.
She'll be like, I have $0, but I have $25,000 sunglasses. 25,000.
Well, are we ready to move on to like some snowy mountains?
Yes.
I think we're ready for episode 2 of season 2 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Anyway, so we open on all the women with their kids. That's beautiful. And then we see Jen open up to her nephew about everything she went through with her husband and how when he left for Ramadan and blah, blah, blah. We've heard this.
You see her closet with all the purchased goods from stolen money.
Allegedly. And she's in her like new rental home.
That she purchased with her own money.
Or Allegedly. But she's talking about making amends, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this from her before. Yeah. And then she calls Heather Gay to set up a meeting, which will go according to all the ways we think it will. Then we see Meredith and her family. Seth actually didn't end up in Ohio, right?
Ohio.
And he ended up in Mississippi. So she was saying like, well, thank God I didn't do that. Is that her voice?
Yeah. And she moves her head sort of like
you know, and then, and she actually is talking to her husband about the things that Jen had said. I don't think her husband in that scene clearly understood. Like,
I think he didn't understood. Like, he didn't. He was like, so what? Like, we know our son, we love our son, but it's like it's out there in a public forum.
Yeah, I mean,
and her son hasn't said he's gay, and he hasn't formally announced anything.
And we're here at the Reality Hit F huge fans of Brooks Marks.
Yes, we love
Mark's family altogether. We support young entrepreneurs and young designers.
He's 21. Like, leave the kid alone.
Leave the kid alone. Then we head over to Mary Cosby's house, which I was only used to seeing Mary Cosby's like closet, but then we see her house. She invites her cousin over, who's her contractor, when she literally says he's the worst contractor in her interview. And I'm like, this is how you treat your family?
I mean, her family was the help for a long time.
I mean, it was her home, by the way,
Oh
is,
my God, the throne chairs.
you know what it reminded me of?
The throne chairs.
Beetlejuice, the
Yeah.
mansion of Beetlejuice.
Kind of, but brighter with like rainbow throne chairs that are horrible
I
and
feel like it's all of
everywhere.
I think it's all of Catherine O'Hara's most campy characters' homes mashed up together. Like Schitt's Creek and Addams Family.
Yes.
And she's just being her cultish, allegedly so.
Well, and then she tells her she was talking to her cousin slash really bad contractor about her son and how she's upset about her son and how he just needs to find his way and he's going through that teenager stage. And she told him that if he's dating a girl and he smells fish, he should run. I was like, wait, what? She was like, you smell fish, you run. What?
If no, I wouldn't even have family that says some shit like that.
No, she's insane.
She's insane, sitting in those damn throne chairs. Then we see Lisa's talking to Jenny about meeting Jen and working through their issues. Come on.
Well, and then they go, right? They go to her house for lunch. And my favorite is when
Jenny says,
well, first, Jen, before she opens the door, she's there with Stu and she's like, who was also arrested, her first assistant, and they're working on one of their deals, that CBD deal, whatever it is, one of her.
It's not legal. It's shady. I think, though, a good note that you had given was about the fact that Jenny was a wedding singer.
And then she sang a little tune for us, huh?
And then I was like, but were you a successful one?
Right, yeah. So can I just say it?
Yeah.
So Jenny and Lisa finally arrive at Jen's house and they sit down for lunch. And Lisa thinks she's gonna basically put Jen and Meredith back together. She's gonna create this bridge of friendship. And she's like, listen, I broke bread with Meredith. Yeah, Meredith. I broke bread with Meredith and she's really upset, about the fact that you've made comments publicly about Brooks and you've said things about his sexuality. And Jen feels no guilt. She's like, that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't talked about my vagina.
It's a kid.
Exactly. And she doesn't get it. She doesn't feel bad.
He didn't even
apologize for it.
Say anything about, he said, I saw her vagina. Right. He just said, I saw it. He saw it.
He didn't say it was hairy, cheesy. I don't know. He didn't say anything bad. Fat. He didn't say anything.
Hold on. A cheesy fat vagina?
Cheesy fat vagina. I mean, I'm sure they're out there.
I mean, that's how I ordered my Philly steaks.
Oh, sick. Don't do that. I love Philly steaks. But she's like, all I do is apologize. I'm tired of apologizing. And all I could think was guess what? In a few weeks, you're going to have so much to apologize for. So just be open to it.
You should start practicing now.
Be open. Open that cheesy fat vagina and be open.
I'm just now hungry for Philly cheesesteak. So then we head over to our newest cast member, Jenny.
Yes.
And her husband.
They're lovely.
I love them. First of all, I'm living for the Asian and Bijan.
I love it too. They have throne chairs, but they're different. They're like modern wooden throne chairs.
And
throne chair, man, it must be a sign of wealth in people's eyes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's so tacky.
Yeah.
But Jenny, is revealing that she she was very successful, and then she kind of didn't give it up. She transferred it over to raising her family, but she's kind of ready to break out. However, her husband is very much not.
More children.
He wants more children, and maybe a sister wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna come up, isn't it?
Yeah, that does come up, which is like,
we'll see if he's joking. I think he's joking, right?
It's probably just advertising for the next episode.
But she's funny. I like Jenny so far.
I'm living for Jenny.
Yeah.
But it's also because it's like I had such, even though I've been to, we've all been to Utah, we've all been to Salt Lake City, we've all been to whatever, Sundance, you and I have at least, right? It's just.
I've never gone to Sundance.
Really?
I know. I just have never, I've never done it.
Okay, but you met all of our friends. Like, we have so many friends.
I know Sundance enough, but I have been to Utah.
Yeah, it's just like, even during Sundance, like, I'm like, I know the people that are here for Sundance, and I know the locals. Now, these people are all locals, and I'm like, wow, I thought it was all just white. I thought it was all white. I was scared. I think
it used to be. My dad lived in Salt Lake City for a period of time when he was doing a fellowship. And this is like in the late 60s. And I think he was one of the few.
No. I'll tell you this. So when I was there working for my client, and we were in an entourage in not Salt Lake City, in Park City for Sundance, I was wearing an equality, I wore these shoes and they were LGBT positive, and it was so weird in a caravan, because you go from interview to interview, and in a caravan, you're with the security, whatever, if there are celebrities, and there were in our caravan, and security's coming, or no, locals are coming, and they looked at my shoes, these kind of rednecky types, and they giggled, and I'm like, okay, so 2-3 weeks out of the year, your whole state has income provided by a bunch of homosexuals in LA. Shut the up, you silly bitch. Anyway,
on to Whitney and her family and her sexual needs.
Oh, okay. Can I tell you something?
First of all, she wants $1 billion company. I don't know. I mean, listen, reach for the stars, girl. Reach for the stars.
Hey,
she wants $1 billion company, and she wants a lot of sex.
Can I tell you something? Wait, did we talk about this already?
What? You're attracted to her husband, remember?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Do I deserve better? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you deserve better than that.
Email us at realityhatef@gmail.com. That's realityhatef@gmail.com. Thank you.
Yes. Please do email him for dates and taglines. Thank you. And she feels like she wants sex every day, and she's not getting it enough because she's busy, and she feels it's robotic sex. And someone's like, one of the producers is like, well, what's robotic sex? And then she does it.
The best part is when she says 3 times a week, I'm like,
I know.
I would, what? That's a lot of work. She's
like,
we used to do it every day. I'm like,
I know.
Wait, is this the sex problems we're having?
Yeah. And then she wants to be made to feel like a goddess. She doesn't feel like a goddess anymore.
I mean, Whitney's 35-year-old ass wants to feel like a goddess.
And have sex every day. So good for her. Good for her.
Gotta get to it.
Then I think we get to the biggest part, the most important part.
Yeah. That's Heather and Jen.
In the ice castles.
So that confused me. So when I was watching it, I was like, wait, what's happening? Is it a Ice Castle bar?
It's like an ice. I don't know if it's a bar. It's just like a place you can go sit, and maybe they start a little fire pit for you and like light a fire, and you can hang out and socialize.
Felon, allegedly almost.
Oh, you mean assistant number 1, Stu?
So Heather goes in and meets her and Jen meet, and that whole conversation was very confusing because it was a full-on gaslighting technical.
It went nowhere, and Jen got the response out of Heather that she wanted.
Exactly.
You know, Heather is so, it's clear Heather doesn't love fighting with anyone. She doesn't love to have conflict. And she is so desperate for people to be her friend. So the moment she kind of called Jen out on her shit and for all the things and the horrible things she said about her friend,
right.
Jen starts crying and making it about race and making it about her. And I mean, it didn't even make sense. She was just like sobbing and crying. And then the race comes up and that's it. It's done, right? Nobody can say anything.
Well, they all seem to make a weird... Heather has no reason to apologize.
No.
Also, I really wish, and not even Rihanna tweeting out or sending out in a message to Heather about how fabulous she is. Not even that. Heather, I want Heather Gay to know that she's amazing.
She's a good person and she deserves a better friend than Jen. And we're going to see, I think that friendship will fall to the wayside. But like, I mean, I just felt like, you know, she was like, you called me all these horrible things. You called me a racist. You said all of these things about me. And then all of a sudden, Jen's crying and saying she's treated differently because of her race. And I think Heather's right. Heather's like, she's not treated differently because of her race. She's treated differently because of her temper. We're all afraid of her.
And except one thing. I mean,
except for the federal government. They are not afraid of you.
They're not afraid of you. That was the best end because I was trying to pull straws there. I'm excited to see what happens next. I feel like SLC is actually bringing heat.
I think it's going to get really good. And yeah, this was a little boring. Their conversation was anticlimactic. And
yeah, but it was actually, it was anticlimactic in the sense that like, was there fire, fury, and
climactic? Oh my God, I said anticlimactic. Climactic.
It's anticlimactic, which we're living in right now. There's no
yes.
But I think SLC is bringing something that not a lot of shows are bringing, hence why the New York Housewives didn't have a reunion, and I'm
bummed. I wanted one.
Yeah, but
I think we all, you know, it's just a mess.
We all know everything that they're saying is bullshit because they could do a reunion via Skype. They could do blah 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 via Zoom, which we're on right now. Zoom, yes. An amazing way to communicate,
and it works. And we've seen it.
It's almost like Blackwater. We like it.
Like it.
So. Anyway, I am excited to see what's next. And taglines. We don't have any I mean, the only tagline that I have, I may have lost all hope, but I am 41. Oh!
I love it. I've got one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Send us your tagline.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for watching our show. I'm Venk.
I'm Jaya.
Bye.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Okay, start.
Blackwater. We like it.
So good.
Quenches that thirst.
So good.